Welcome back to VADA Live. I'm your host, Dan Kerrigan. Today we have an amazing guest. It is Lauren Bailey, Vice President of State and Regulatory Affairs at ComplyAuto. Lauren, your resume is impressive. 15 years experience working with NADA legal department. Now you're working closely with dealers and talking topics and support with advertising, privacy, OSHA compliance. You're also a frequent speaker, writer, and you present at conferences. One of those is the upcoming VADA 26 convention in Virginia Beach. Lauren, thanks for taking time to join us, and welcome to VADA Live.
Hey, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here, and I'm so excited for our conversation, and I'm even more excited to be at VADA's convention as a speaker.
Let's start there, Lauren. What about the convention are you excited about? What are you looking forward to?
Okay, so there's so many things, but I have to say that the thing I'm most excited about is presenting with my co-presenter, Barry Schrapp. Barry is a household name if you're a dealer attorney or if you're in the dealership space. And so just to be able to present with her is an opportunity for me to learn something too, because I'm going to be on stage with such a heavyweight. And you know, VADA is well served by their attorneys. They have Barry Schrapp, you have Ann Gambardella, you have Mimi Perka. And I just want to say the automotive industry and even the dealership attorney industry has mostly been dominated by men. And it's so nice to see VADA be well served by these amazing women as their attorneys.
Anything in addition to that about the VADA universe, the amazing legal team? What stands out to you having that national scope?
You know, they're really leading. They're just leaders. People look to them from all over the country for what's going on next. And so even the other state associations can look to see what VADA is doing. Don Hall has been very vocal about the FTC's enforcement actions that are pending. And he's just been really out there trying to raise the bar for the industry and to get the dealers in compliance.
Lauren, you reminded me of an interview I'd done with Mimi and Ann a few months ago, and I said, you may be my favorite attorneys. This team is some of my favorite, but this list is increasing, Lauren. It really is. It's very
indeed. I got to get on that list. I want to say, you know, I'm also bringing my daughter to the convention, and I think it's a good opportunity for her to see the automotive industry, to see women succeeding in the automotive industry, and to see the opportunity. And my daughter, who is 13, she can't believe that anyone would want to listen to me talk. And so it's a good opportunity to show her that, yes, there are people that want to listen to mom, and mom knows what she's talking about.
Oh, that is amazing. And the family just focus of the VADA convention, my first convention with VADA 2 years ago, that's what stuck out to me. And I hope your family's looking forward to it. Just given the from the first night to the events, it really is a family first affair.
Yeah, and that's why I'm bringing her, and I want her to, you know, see the automotive industry and to just have a great time with the other families there at the convention.
And Lauren, as part of this conversation, would love to dive into your background. We had mentioned your work with NADA, you now working directly with dealers. Just to start somewhat at the beginning, how has your perspective with NADA shaped your approach to compliance today? Where do you really leverage that?
So, you know, NADA was such a great experience. It was wonderful to work there. It really taught me almost everything I know. And at NADA, you get a good sense of how the policy is made, and then you have to, you know, give that policy to the dealers, and there's no real, like, literal translation of that policy for the dealers. At ComplyAuto, it's taking that policy and translating it into programs that the dealers can actually use. You're actually more boots on the ground and implementing the policy that's come from Washington or the state capital and helping dealers with that.
I'd love to dive into that more, Lauren, just talking about those practical terms, knowing that our audience is dealers across Virginia and beyond. We love to have viewers from wherever across the country, internationally, perhaps. How do you help in practical terms? Where's your mind at right now?
Well, right now, I don't think there's anyone that's in this space that's not thinking about the FTC and advertising compliance. If you haven't heard about it, I don't know where you've been, because everyone's been out there talking about what the FTC has been doing and how they are regulating advertisements. And I think that's top of mind. And to take exactly what the FTC is saying, which may not be the clearest directive, it may be nebulous, it may, you know, be arguable about what they're saying. ComplyAuto really takes that information, digests it, and gives it to the dealers with real practical steps for them to take and how they can be in compliance and how they can avoid the FTC's eye.
FTC being the headline right now. Any other compliance risks or trends dealers should have on their radar at the moment?
Sure. I think there's always a benefit in keeping an eye on privacy. I mean, you have states now, we're up to 21 states that have passed state privacy laws. Dealers operate in their state, but they may operate in other states. They need to know what the requirements are under state privacy laws and how they're going to protect consumer information and what the requirements are. Just saying, oh, well, I'm a Graham Leach Bliley entity, I don't have to do anything, isn't the way to go. You're going to have to understand what the state privacy laws require and what they need you to do.
Can I ask an uninformed and curveball question?
Oh, no.
AI in privacy? Can I go there?
Yeah, AI, it's kind of like the new emerging area, not just for privacy, but for advertising too. I've seen a dealer ad from Texas where they completely used AI to represent the people, the testimonials in the ad, and it was a little bit freaky to watch, things that look like humans, but they're not humans talking about buying a car. It was very strange. But dealers are harnessing AI in all these new ways. And there are real risks in having deceptive advertising, like having these AI people. Is that deception? There are risks in having AI make your credit decisions for you. Like, what has programmed the AI? What is it using to make those decisions? And there's also risk in having those, AI chatbots on your screen. Attorneys General have looked at that, and if you have AI in a human form, they're taking a close look at you having disclosure saying that you're not actually talking to a real human, you're talking to AI. And so this is a real emerging area for regulators, and I think we'll see new regulations and rules coming on as regulators try to get their arms around AI.
One of the nuances how different dealerships' operations are classified. Can you walk us through why this matters? Call me out if I'm even wrong. And with NAICS codes where dealers may have exposure, love the acronyms. I learn a new one every single day that they're not thinking about.
So let me ask you, do you know what NAICS stands for? Because
I could hazard a guess. I come from industries where acronyms are prevalent. I'm going to deflect and not feel the question.
You can deflect to me because it stands for North American Industry Classification System.
I would have been close for the record, but that's fine. Hindsight 2020.
So these codes are how the government classifies a business, right? So if you have a dealership that is just sitting there and it's a contiguous location with the service department hooked onto the back, then you're probably going to be classified as a new franchise car dealership. But if you have your service center set back and it's a non-contiguous location, you may fall into two NAICS codes, and you may have exposure to OSHA regulation depending on how you're classified. Yeah. And so right now we've seen OSHA put out their national emphasis program on heat and heat injury and illness. And dealerships were not targeted. Franchise new car dealerships were not one of the NAICS code they're targeting, but they are targeting automotive repair facilities. And dealerships may fall under that NAICS code depending on how they're set up, regardless of whether you're on the list or not. OSHA doesn't have a rule on heat injury and illness, but when they put out these emphasis programs, it means they are looking and they are ready to make sure that worker safety in hot areas is important. So what that means for dealerships is you need to take any actions to protect your workers when the mercury is rising outside. I think we already had a 100-degree day here in DC. It's not even summer yet. And even in the absence of those OSHA standards, dealerships have a duty to protect worker health and safety. It's called the General Duty Clause. And it means that even if there's no specific regulation on something, you have the duty to provide a safe and healthy workplace for your employees.
It was something on a recent ComplyAuto story that is fascinating, which encourage others to check out that the Lauren and team had put together. An overarching question for those dealers who say this may never happen to me, may never be the target, and this could be specific to OSHA's heat national emphasis program or maybe other areas. What's the reality when it comes to just the inspections and liability, and where should people be looking, and those with that baseline mindset of no, I'm okay. I've been okay for years. I'll never be a target of these things. So
I'm going to reveal my one party trick, my one stat. I'm going to ask you this question. How often are dealerships inspected by OSHA? If you don't have a complaint or any reporting duty to OSHA, if you just keep on keeping on as a dealership, how often do you think OSHA comes to the dealership? Every 5 years, 15 years?
I'm going to say never.
Never is closer to the answer than the two I gave. the stats show that OSHA will come to a dealership once every 100 years. In fact, I was just at an event that they were honoring 2 100-year-old dealerships. And I actually asked the dealer, I said, have you ever had OSHA come to your dealership? They said, yeah, once or twice. So there's, my imperfect study of, 100-year-old dealerships.
Wow.
But that doesn't mean that you can just do nothing. And just because OSHA is not coming next week, that you can just stop that. OSHA does come when you have a severe injury, a death, a report from a disgruntled employee, a report from a disgruntled consumer. I mean, we see this all the time, that someone has an unsatisfactory experience in the dealership, and then they call the ABC of agencies trying to get the dealer in trouble. And so it's important to be prepared, not just because OSHA may come and they may inspect you, but also because dealership employees are very, very valuable. You can't just call down to the tech store and order a brand new tech if one becomes injured or ill on the job. And so protecting them and valuing their worker health and safety is very important to dealership operations.
Where have you seen proactively or reactively steps dealers have taken to be successful and be prepared?
Well, obviously using ComplyAuto safety puts you ahead of the game. As I'm making sure that all the regulations are translated into those real world applications for the dealers in our product. And so we are 50 state compliant. We are compliant with the federal standards. But I'll say that we just did a webinar with OSHA talking about their Safety Champions program. And they are reaching out to industry and to recognize the kind of businesses that are doing the right thing with worker health and safety. And if you are using ComplyAuto's program, then you're already on your way to becoming an OSHA safety champion, and you can get recognized for those things you are doing to invest in worker health and safety in the dealership.
Without mentioning names, any case studies come to mind? Not to put you on the spot there.
Any case studies about
performing well? What may have been a great response to either a complaint or either working ahead or maybe receiving that complaint, having to manage it? Any stories worth noting that could be worth the value sharing with Virginia dealers?
I don't have any off the top of my head of a case study where that's happened. I would just say that a lot of dealerships viewed compliance as just a cost and not an investment. And when you are investing in your workers and you're protecting their health and safety, you're so far ahead of the game in running a good dealership operation.
One maybe parting thought, Lauren, what is the thing you wish dealers knew about your world and compliance going in?
Well, I wish they knew that compliance wasn't just a cost, right? It can be a competitive advantage. It can help you keep the best employees. It can help your customers have the best experience in the store. Being in compliance, it shouldn't just be a line item like, oh, I'm just checking a box, I'm paying for this or for that, or trying to get in compliance. If you use all the compliance tools properly, it gives you a big competitive advantage in the marketplace. And so I wish dealers thought about compliance that way versus as just, like eating your vegetables.
And how should folks attending this year's convention, again in Virginia Beach, if you have not registered, you really need to, but how would you and Barry like folks to prepare or come with an open mind or questions they have? Any prep work we can do ahead of the session, which we know will be informative for everyone?
Yeah, so I would like dealers before they come to our session to review their own advertising, where their products are being advertised. Because remember, the definition of advertisement is very, very broad. It's not just the cars on your website. Are your salespeople using TikTok? Are you putting these in your email signature? Are you listing on a third-party site? Think about all the places where your product is advertised and look at that and see, are you meeting the requirements for total price? Are you meeting the requirements when you're talking about Reg Z or Reg M? Look at that and come with questions. We want to help out, and there may be things that Barry and I haven't thought of before, and ways that we can help dealers with their compliance.
As maybe one final question, Lawrence, I continue to lie to you and keep this interview continuing. How often should dealers review this? And we're operating, of course, in a very busy world. We're on VADA Live talking about various guests on a number of topics. There's a lot happening going on in dealerships right now. As it relates to the compliance world, advertising, we can home in on. review process ongoing? Make sure you're close with your agency. What do you recommend as far as just staying up to date and ensuring that, peace of mind as well as being compliant? Is that once every year, every time you have a new campaign, or just bring somebody new in? What works?
Well, I'm going to obviously say you should use ComplyAuto's Guardian product because it scans your VDP pages at the intervals that you want and gives you the results and shows you where the problems are. You're right, it's very busy. Nobody has time to sit there all day and go through every advertisement. And so using a product like ComplyAuto Guardian can help you, get that task off your desk. But the advertisements, there are OEMs that come out with advertisements that dealers are required to run. And so there's no real prescriptive cadence because there can be new things every single day. And I think ComplyAuto Guardian is the first step to making sure your advertising is compliant on your website.
Lauren, really appreciate your time. You've been hearing from Lauren Bailey with ComplyAuto. Be sure to catch her and Barry at VADA 26 Convention, June 22nd through the 25th at the Marriott Virginia Beach Oceanfront. And we thank you for watching VADA Live. I'm your host, Dan Kerrigan. We hope you tune in next time.